Even if you didn't get your name in the bucket, Miss Levy will come around and you can put it in there. But we need to, because it's a GBI day, we need to get started so we can make sure we get this whole presentation done in our short amount of time. So, we are going to turn on our listening ears, we're going to zip our lips, and we're going to be the best audience of the day. We've had 4 different audiences, and I'm thinking that we are going to be the best. All right, that's what we're trying for. So, with that, I turn it over to our wonderful guests.
So my name is Billy Pollard. I graduated from this middle school in 1998, way back when the dinosaurs roamed the earth. And middle school was a great time. I had a lot of fun in middle school. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it. I've only been here for like a month and a half, right? Hopefully you guys like it. Anyway, I am an author as of April, an illustrator, and a musician. So I kind of do all creative stuff. So that's me.
Oops, hold on. This is making this. There we go.
So as you can see, there's my graduating photo from 1998, my yearbook, and I won Best Sense of Humor. And as you can see, I look very hysterical. I'm really happy to be having my picture taken, obviously. And then there's me now wearing the same shirt. So these are 2 of my music videos, which we'll watch at least one of those at the end of the presentation. But just to give you more about me, since it's October and it's appropriate, I have a new song called October, and then my older song called 1031, which is about Halloween and fall, and just that warm, fuzzy feeling, the nostalgic feeling of Halloween and fall that I always have loved. So who inspired me? And this is Bone Boy and Ghost Girl. And when I was a kid, my favorite thing in the library was the creepy Halloween-themed books or the scary stories to tell in the dark. They just made a movie of that, so obviously that was a popular one. I loved Where the Wild Things Are as a kid by Maurice Sendak. I think I'm saying his name right. I love Dr. Seuss. He's not very creepy. The Grinch was kind of creepy, but I loved his unique style of illustration and the way he made up his own words and just the whole flow of it. It was a big influence on me. But I liked Berenstain Bears and I liked the cutesy stuff too. But for the most part, if it had like a dark, creepy image, I was all about it. That was my bread and butter, as they say. So now I'm going to read the book, and the pages will be on the screen here so you can get a closer look at the illustrations rather than me holding it and, doing the little kindergarten, So. All right, so I'm going to read the book here.
I do it, yeah. Mrs. Makeup does that. But I don't have all my books on slides like you do. So maybe I need to start taking pictures to make slides. Would that be better for my class? Yeah. All right, I'll work on that.
All right. Deep beyond the woods, in a graveyard all alone, lived a boy without his skin and a girl without her bones. Although they were different, they were very much the same. For both of them had died and then rose up from the grave. But they loved playing together, and let it be said, fun's not just for the living, it's also for the dead. Bone Boy and Ghost Girl were the very best of friends. And when they were together, they never wanted it to end. Bone Boy was a skeleton who had a black balloon. Ghost Girl had a skull that she found inside a tomb. Sometimes they played baseball. They even liked to bowl. They'd send each other letters when one of them left home. Ghost Girl could float and fly across the sky. or pass right through a wall if the doors were locked inside. Bone Boy could sink to the bottom of the sea. No need to hold his breath, since he has no lungs to breathe. Each and every summer, when the kids get out of school, they spend their days relaxing and playing in the pool. They loved the way the air smelled when the flowers were in bloom, but not the way the pretty plants would cover up the gloom. They really loved the winter, or so I have been told. They could play outside for hours since they couldn't feel the cold. Their favorite was October and how the leaves would change. The one time of the year when they didn't seem so strange. In the evenings they'd have dinner just like you and me, but instead of plain spaghetti, they ate eyeballs, worms, and cheese. When the day was over and coming to an end, Bone Boy did the laundry. He even washed his head. And although she had no body, Ghost Girl loved to bathe. She made herself a bathtub inside an open grave. Then they'd change into their PJs and hop right into bed. They still got very tired, even though they both were dead. They'd climb under the covers, and as the sun would set, they both would say, "I love you. I'm so glad that we met." Now, just because you die doesn't mean your life must end. In fact, you never know when you'll meet your new best friend. So that is my book, and here I gave an example of one of the pages in storyboard form and then the final illustration. Now to start, the first thing I did was write the story, and I pictured the pages in my mind. Once I was happy with the way the writing was, then I separated each part into pages. So I'd say this line would be the first page, this line the second, and so on. And then I would do a crude drawing, like a sketch of how I wanted the page to look. Once I was happy with that, then I would start on the actual illustration, which is a lot more detailed, as you can see. It took a lot more time. All these little lines here, I would zoom in on my iPad and sit there with the thing an inch from my face and almost go blind. But
I have that feeling too.
yeah. So that's pretty much the process of it, and I did that for, I think there's 32 pages in the book. So it took a while from writing it to the start to having it completed. It took almost 6 months, I think, to make. So these things take time. When you see a movie or a TV show, I mean, yeah, you can watch it in 2 hours, but it takes months to make these things, sometimes years. I mean, another one of my influences as a kid when I was 9, in 4th grade, was Nightmare Before Christmas when that came out. And that movie, I think, took 3 years to animate. So it's a long time. It's a long time to do something. So yeah, that's pretty much my process there. And we'll do the book raffle. Who has the
It
little?
looks like it's bad.
The little
Miss Lee, do you want to have someone?
yeah, who would like to pick the? You can pick.
Maddie, go that way.
Don't look. Just dig in.
Imagine.
I know it's not for me.
Who do we have?
Angel do.
Angel. There's your prize. That's awesome. Thanks, Maddie.
You don't win stuff a lot too. I'm the same way. Congratulations. So I guess right now, if you guys have any questions, anything you want to ask me about anything, about the book, about music, about just whatever, just go ahead. You had your hand up earlier, so.
My dad likes The Nightmare Before Christmas.
He likes it too? Yeah, a lot of people like that movie now. It's a big thing. Yeah, you see it. Honestly, I don't like sports. No, I can tolerate baseball, but football, nah, not my thing, unfortunately.
What kind of instruments do you play?
Primarily, I just play guitar. In my music, it's mostly me and my acoustic guitar, and then once I record the vocals and the guitar, then I'll go in and do some keyboards or some bass. But primarily, it's acoustic guitar. Yes, yes.
How did you come up with your characters?
It's a good question. When I was at my old job, I was just bored because I'm always, whenever I have paper in front of me or pen, I'm always doodling or drawing. And there was some scrap pieces of mail laying around, and I took the envelope and just sketched Ghost Girl. This character was just in my head, this girl floating with spider webs. And then I wanted her to have a partner, so I wanted to come up with something that was like how Ghost Girl's 2 G's, Ghost Girl. I was like, okay, well, boy, and I wanted to be a skeleton, so Bone Boy. The characters evolved a little bit since those, but anyway, I drew them, and they were always in my head, and I just put the pieces of mail in a box, and when my dad moved out of his house, he told me to get my junk out of there, so I did, and in one of the boxes was these pieces of mail with the characters, and I was like, oh, and I redrew them again, which ended up being the cover of the book. I drew this exact image here of Bone Boy and Ghost Girl, and then I posted it on my Instagram saying I would love to write a book. I always wanted to. Since I was younger than you guys, I wanted to write a children's book. I posted that, and the company said they would produce it for me, and I got excited, and I spent 6 months making it, and they ended up actually leaving the project, and I had to figure out a way to do it myself, but I got it up on Amazon on my own. So long story short, that's probably more than you asked, but I'm thorough sometimes. Yes.
Can we follow you on Instagram?
I don't know. That's a gray area right there.
Maybe someday, because.
How long did it take you to write the book?
It's from writing it, from the story itself, to doing the storyboard, and then doing the final illustrations, almost 6 months. So, and I was constantly working on it. Yes.
What type of music do you like?
Now, I like a lot of like stuff from the 80s, like, you know, the popular stuff, but I like a lot of underground music, a lot of stuff that I don't know that you necessarily would know of. Yeah, more underground stuff. Like one of my favorite bands is a band called Sunny Day Real Estate. I'd be shocked if you knew who they were. So.
I think she also knows what kind of music.
Your grandpa likes Sunny Day Real Estate?
We're gonna actually
Wow, I'm old.
so you'll be able to hear.
Anybody else? Yes, you?
Have you published any songs? If so, how many?
I have 3 full-length albums. My first album I started recording and writing in 2006, and then in 2010, when I had all the songs for that, I had 9 songs, I released that through iTunes and all the other digital platforms. And then I released my second album in 2012, and then I released my third album in 2016, and then I have like some singles here and there. So overall, I probably have 40 songs or something like that.
Did you like writing when you were in school, in middle school?
I want to encourage you guys, but no, I didn't like writing. I wasn't, and even when I would get books out from the library, I didn't even read the words half the time. I focused on the illustration. I've just always been more of a visual person, even though writing in itself can be visual, because nothing that you guys like, your music, your movies, your television shows, everything exists because of writing. That is the main thing. So even though I wasn't a big fan of it, I couldn't do anything that I enjoy without writing. So other than maybe just drawing a picture, but pretty much everything, the basis is writing. So you might not be a great artist, but you could write a really good story, and that creates the image in the reader's mind. They can come up with their own image. Or you could group up with a friend who's a good artist and team up that way. Because a lot of the books that you guys read, it'll say written by blank, illustrated by blank. So it just happens that I did both in this case.